wait for a second. And can I please, could I please to check the presenters? We have I was told that we have 6 presenters in session 1. The first presenter is Hogelbach. Yeah, can you test your speaker and video? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And second presenter is Carla Pinto. Oh,
Yes,
Lourdes.
I'm here.
Right. Okay. Nice to meet you. And third presenter is August Setio.
Yes,
are you
I'm
here?
here, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And the fourth presenter is Debo Simbolon. Oh.
Present, sir.
Right. Okay. Are you there? Are you here? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
I'm here,
very
sir.
much. Yeah. And the fifth presenter is Thierry Dana Piscar.
Yes, I am here. I'm hearing you very well.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello
And
to all the
last,
friends. Hello.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. And the last presenter is Dwi Ciprianto. Are you here? Dwi Ciprianto from Indonesia? No, none yet. Right. Okay.
Hello, yes, I am.
Oh, you are. Okay. Okay. Dwi, nice to meet you. Right. Okay. Fortunately, we have all of the 6 presenters are here. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We have. I was told from the local committee staff members, and each presenter has maximum presentation time is at maximum 8 minutes. So I will notice 2 minutes before your presentation time to keep our session timetable. But okay, the first presenter is Park Ho Girl. The title is The Fundamentals of 4D Frame and Creative Play-Based Learning. He will present. Yeah, Park Ho Girl, you have floor. Thank you.
여기 없잖아. The fundamentals of 4D frame and creativity play-based learning. My name is Hogelbach. I want to introduce myself. I am an inventor of 4D frame. 4D frame creativity educational program developer, architecture model expert for 30 years. In our life, we encounter numerous troubles. Huge problems can be settled by the government, but daily life problems, each of us have to solve. This is the moment when we are in need of problem-solving skills. What is the 4D frame? 4D frame is 4-dimension and frame. Problem-solving skills determine happiness and quality of life. That is why I made 4D frame. I was an architecture model expert during 30 years. This is the Hwangyongsa Temple. and each model. This is the Gyeongbokgung Palace and each model. I was interested in the materials of architecture. For example, concrete is unable to be relocated without being destroyed. The character of wood, empty space, and flexibility. Traditional Korean house is easily disassembled, move and reassemble when any problem occurs. Flexibility plus assembly and disassembly equal 40 frame. The flexibility of 40 frame. You can make free structures using connectors and tubes. Creativity output comes from flexibility of body frame. Body frame can creativity dynamic output with flexibility.
지금 보여드리는 장면은 1분 내외로 문제를 성공적으로 해결하는 모습입니다. 함께 감상해보시죠. Feelings about this competition.
Through 40 frame, students can develop problem-solving skills. You can creativity outputs that can work on both flat and bumpy surfaces.
Mr. Park, you have 1.5 minutes left. Thank you.
Even user outputs can be easily built by students. That is why 40 frame was born. Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Park Ho-geul. You showed a very interesting and very creative activity outcomes with the 40 frame, which looks like a fundamental pedagogical learning or teaching tools for learning any kind of subject to play learning purposes. Right, thank you very much. And we're gonna have a next presenter who will show the topics of students' impressions of their social, teaching, and cognitive presence in a be-learning environment by Carlos Pinto, Lourdes Babo, and George, I'm sorry, my pronunciation is correct or not, it's Jorge Mendoca from Portugal. Okay, you have floor. Thank you.
Hi. Hello, so my name is Carla Pinto and I'm from Porto, Portugal. And this is a joint work with my two colleagues, Lourdes Babo and Jorge Mendoza. And this is a survey that we did to our students regarding the community of inquiry in a be-learning environment. So we taught them some classes in online version, so the theoretical classes were online and the practical classes were in situ. And so, as you know, the educational experience as a social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence, and we need to engage ourselves and students in all of these three magnitudes of the educational experience. And for instance, in the cognitive presence, you have the triggering event, exploration, integration, resolution, so critical thinking if you want to think about like this. In the teaching presence, you have the design and organization of your class, facilitation, direct instruction. And in the social presence, you have the effective expression, open communication, group cohesion. So these are some of the topics that have to be taken under consideration when you're teaching your class. And so we decided to ask students in an open question, what did they feel about, how would they advise the teacher to improve the way the classes were taught. And for instance, with respect to teamwork, they both named advantages and difficulties. They liked to work in groups, and they preferred mini group activities. And sometimes that's the main handicap, is that they find difficult to work in groups while online. So if they are face-to-face with their colleagues, they enjoy very much working in groups, but if they are online, they find it very difficult to work. And as to the breakout rooms, they have issues concerning communication, confidence, and engagement. Some of them like the breakout rooms because they say it reduces anxiety, because it's smaller groups. They can talk easier with their colleagues. But some of them also said that there are colleagues that go away when there are breakout rooms. They decide to leave class. And some examples. So they said, many of them said that they would like to have games and interactive dialogues with the students, and more interactive lessons, and more solved exercises. So the main words that appeared in their open question was breakout rooms and teamwork activities, teacher answering questions, teacher and student solving exercises together, open topics, also individual activities. And as you can see here, for instance, we decided to compute the mean, the standard deviation, the skewness, and the kurtosis of some of the questions that we asked them concerning these three presences. And as you can see, the social presence is the one who has the smaller value for the mean, and also has a positive skewness, and has the smaller kurtosis. So the social presence is really something that we should focus, especially in these online or e-learning environments. So these are the results of the scores that the students did. This is for the cognitive presence. As you can see, everything that is more to the blue area means that they feel comfortable about the questions. For example, I can apply the knowledge created in this curricular unit to my work or other activities not related to classes. So the bluer, the best, of course. When you start seeing too much red or pink, it means that they start to disagree with what is written there. But as to the cognitive presence and to the teaching presence, everything was very smooth, as you can see. So, for example, the teacher clearly communicated important curricular unit topics. So, as you can see, we have a lot of blues here, so it's good. But then when we go to the social presence, so to the questions related to the social presence, then you see there's a lot of reds, for instance, and it's mainly on this. Online or web-based communication is an excellent medium of social interaction. Students disagree. They don't like it. And they don't feel comfortable also communicating online. So when you start seeing many reds, it means that they disagree. So they like to be, most of them like to be face-to-face, and like to interact with their colleagues, and like to do group work, teamwork with their colleagues face-to-face. Then we decided to compute this Cronbach's alpha, and as you could see, the social presence here in the total in the bottom line. So the replies are not as good as in all of the other presences that you have, cognitive and teaching presences. So the social presence was really a default, was really a fault here, something that that the students felt it wasn't taken under consideration for them. It was uneasy for them. But so the main idea from this study is that we as teachers must continue, and of course students must continue to engage our students and to provide environments in which they feel comfortable. And as we could see from this pandemic, from these 2 years in which we almost had online classes, the students aren't comfortable at all with it. They manage to survive, let's say, to this fully online teaching, but they don't feel comfortable. They like to experience learning. They like to be there. They like to be with the teachers. They like to be in the classroom. They like to. They don't like just to watch a screen. And these were the main conclusions from our work. This had nothing to do with their outcomes. So cognitive presence and the things related to teaching presences weren't any. So they were okay. The students didn't feel like there was really two major differences between face-to-face and online, but the social presence was really striking for the students. So, but as Albert Einstein said, you have to continue and try, so you never fail until you stop trying. So we will continue to try and fail once in a while, but I think these issues that came around with the COVID-19 pandemic really gave us a lot of open issues to discuss from now on. At least that's my feeling. We were used to work with our students in the classroom, and we had a lot of activities, and then we were forced to go online, and this had an impact not only on us but also in our students, and this is something we should take under consideration in the future to see how we could decrease these negative influence of the social issues in online teaching. Okay, so do you have any questions? I don't know if I was too fast. Sorry for that, if I was.
Right. Right. Thank you very much, Carlo Pinto. Interesting. And well, yes, probably some of participants on the floor may have a question or may raise their comment on each presenter's title, topics, themes, or discussion matter. So you can use the chatting box, and if you want to ask any question, just send your question or comment, and then we will discuss later. So, right. Anyway, thanks very much, and we will have a third presenter from Indonesia. And the presenter will talk about the students' creativity profiles in constructing independent gates using 4D frame. Okay, August Setio, and another co-presenter is Utama. So are you ready to present? Okay, I can see that. And during this presentation, you can put your questions and queries or comment on the chatting box. Thank you. You have floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kim. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous here because I am among the expert. So and I'm the very beginner. So I am very nervous here. Of course, I'm very honored because I am one frame with Mr. Holgul Park. That's the honor of 40 frame. Okay, let's me to present my research. Our research is about student creativity profiles in constructing independent kits. It's me as a teacher, and then Mr. Gusnandar Yoga is the supervisor from Siamil Kitab in mathematics. The background is usually in our independent day, there are many attraction, there are many sport or maybe event. One of them is built. It's called Gapura Kemerdekaan or Independent Kid. That is very beautiful, and then maybe work together between people, and we try to connect it to about science, technology, and then engineering and math. But we don't we don't tell to the student that it's called STEAM, but it's flow, and then in the end they finally know that it's called it STEAM. The purpose or the goal, the main goal is we want to know about the creativity, the student creativity from these activities. This research is how there is a question is there how the students' creativity profile, and then the objective to find out deeply about the student creativity by build independent kids using 40 frame, and then the benefits is for the teacher is can be used as a preliminary research about student creativity for the student, of course, and then for the other research, it can be the reference. The research methodology is a qualitative research with the narrative design, with a population sample is 12 students in 8th grade in junior high school One Tirtoyudo in Indonesia. And then the research instrument, student worksheets, and creativity product analysis metric or GPRM by Bessemer and Trevenger. And then the research procedure is preparation, implementation, etc. And the result of this research is in the preparation stage, it was very difficult to get implementation permit because in our country is in still a pandemic situation. So we must make sure that it will be safe for the student and for the teacher. And then construct and validate research instrument with the expert, and then prepare tools and research material. In implementation stage is it was implemented at 2 days in August. That it was our independent day, so it will be more contextual for the student. In first day is for designing, the independent kit, and for second day is build the design using 40 frame. And we give the success criteria to the student. That is about the design. It must be have patriotic feeling, and then must be beautiful and sturdy towards maybe but earthquakes maybe or wind blowing, and then must use minimal material and must consist of a geometric shape, because they are in the 7 and 8 grades in junior high school. And then about the implementation video, you can see the implementation video in the next slide. It's like this. This is first day. They designed the independent kids in their worksheet. And they must choose the best design and draw it in the plan paper and present it to the others. In the second implementation day, it's time for the design Yeah, they also check their independent kit about our earthquake and wind blowing. Okay, there was the implementation. And about their product, we assess it with CPEM, Creative Product Analysis Metric, that's adapted from December and refined year. This is in Indonesian language. And the result is like this. For the novelty, group 1 has scored 2, and then group 2 has scored 3, etc. And the final or the average is for group 1 is 2.3, and then group 2 is 2.8, and group 3 is 2.3. Overall, for all of the overall group, the average of creativity product analysis metric is 2.46 or 82%. That's it means for based on CPM big result, the student creativity is in high category. It means that for the frame can be used on STEAM project-based learning. And then there is interesting find that I have found, that is there is no significant differences between high student, medium student, or low student in creativity. Maybe that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation to show 4 different activities in school environment. As I left my message on the chatting box, when you have any question and queries or wanted to raise your issues about this session's topic, we're gonna have discussion time in Q&A time after the last presentation ends. So Q&A time may take 10 minutes or up to 15 minutes. Okay, next present is to talk about analysis of student creativity and critical thinking in designing Katuk talk on STEAM project using 40 frame toolkit. A presenter from Indonesia again. Right. Debo Simbolon, are you a presenter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And you have floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Is my screen is looking by another?
Yep, go ahead. Good.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you for the time and the opportunity given to us to present our presentation. Our topic is about analysis of students' creative and critical thinking in designing Katuk-Tak on STEAM project using 4D Frame Toolkit. My team is Debo Simbolon. I'm myself from SMP Swasta Wirasada Medan. And my associates are Uncok Manigod Jokasiaan from SH Cipta Harapan School and Farida Nurhasana as our instructor from 11 Maret University and Simeo. The background of our research is that in the era of technological and social advance, students must be able to think creatively and critically in solving of contextual problem, especially in mathematics classroom. And the second background is that Katuk-Tak or Hasuksak is one of local culture wisdom that produce ulos that is still used around the student environment, and many families sell the ulos as their occupation. The picture is the picture of Katuk-Tak. This is the traditional boom that produce ulos, where ulos is the traditional clothes of the Batak, one tribe of Indonesia that use ulos in the cultural ceremony like marriage, funeral, and etc. This is contextual problem. Katuk-Tak as a contextual problem in this research will lead students to see their creative and critical thinking about to solve the problem in using Katuk-Tak. And the third background that the STEAM approach applied is in some aspects, education influences creativity and critical thinking and encourages student experiences of solving contextual problems in the real life. And this is the last background that the fact of our research that 4D Frame is an excellent educational for conceptualizing, modeling, and analyzing topics relevant to all STEM fields. The question of our research are, how is students' creative thinking in making Katuk-Tak using 4D Frame Toolkit? And the second is, how is students' critical thinking in making Katuk-Tak using 4D Frame? Our methodology use qualitative descriptive that analyze the creative and critical thinking of students or Hasuksak using 4D Frame on STEAM project. And the second is to describe how the creativity and critical thinking of student is built by using 4D Frame on STEAM project designing Katuk-Tak. Our instrument are observation sheets, interview sheets, and reflection sheets. The objectives of our research is aims to analyze how students' creativity and critical thinking processes are formed through STEAM project designing Katuk-Tak using 4D frames. And the second, students are able to think creatively and critically on analyzing the position of points and lines that showed in Katuk-Tak design based on lesson Cartesian coordinate as the second topic of 8th grade mathematics lesson in the first semester. The aspect of the creativity of students is demonstrated by the wait a moment. Okay. Is demonstrated by the main problems found in the contextual problems presented. And then the second aspect of the creativity is asking their original opinions, the collaborative and communicative action in designing and outlining problem topics in detail. And the aspect of critical thinking of students appears in that students understand the problem to be solved using 4D frames, relevance of answer to questions, evaluating work outcomes, and finding new ideas applied to use 4D frames on designing Katuktak. This is the video of the activities of our student with 4D frame in same project. That's our presentation today. So in our research, the creativity and critical thinking of students will explain by describing their result from the first trying until to the fifth trying. They have 5 minutes. They have 5 minutes to complete their project and find the result that Katuktak that they made can move by themselves manually. That's all our presentation today. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, Debo Simbolon. Thank you very much. You have another example. You showed another example for the frame practical activities at school levels, which looks like interesting to find out how 4D frame can effectively apply to any kind of school levels or student learning and teaching materials as teaching and learning materials at school level. Okay, anyway, thanks very much. And we're gonna have a Q&A session to discuss further topics about the 4D frames. Okay, anyway, thanks very much, Debo. And the next present is from Israel. Thierry Dana Picarda, presenting on reflections on pedagogic endeavors for STEAM education during COVID-19 waves. And Thierry,
Yeah. Yes.
there?
I am here. Yes, I am here. Thank you very much.
Yours, Thierry. Your floor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody. It depends where you are now. Thank you for the invitation to present you something on our work and the environment. Actually, we are now after a couple of waves of this COVID-19 pandemic. It depends where we are. It depends on the reactions that we had at these waves in every country. But anyway, what happened is that in the previous world, we were quite quiet, let's say, and everything was working in a very pre-worked way, and everything was correct. But suddenly, an awful virus appeared, and everything became to be a big storm in all the society, but in the education especially. And then we went all these waves, and some of the waves could overwhelm us. But what happened is that after that, we could try to have some kind of solutions. But solutions could be good solutions and well fitted for everyone. But sometimes we could not find solutions well fitted for everybody. This was the problem with the Noah Arks, even in that storm, in the flood. So everybody tried to find solutions. Every single teacher, every single educator, and the departments and the institutions and the countries tried to find solutions. And there were a lot of different solutions to use in order to go online, to go to the virtual environment. And then we could sometimes teachers tried to transfer to the virtual environment what they did in class. And then sometimes it was a mixing of sharing some documents and then also writing by hand on an iPad or on a touch screen and so on. Everything was quite new, and people had to invent their own way to teach. Students liked it, didn't like it. We heard from Carla that their answer is not so trivial, and they're not always enthusiastic with what they could do, but we tried, and we tried not to be static, we tried to be dynamic, to use dynamic software and to go ahead. But finally, the teacher was alone in his home or in his office, if he was allowed to go to the office, and he was a one-man orchestra, trying a lot of technologies, and generally more than one, and in order to communicate with students, to have communication between students, and to have a communication with mathematical software. As you know, I'm a mathematician, and actually even for other disciplines, it was possible to have a lab material at home, to make electronics lab at home. Chemistry, it's somehow more problematic if you don't want to be at risk to explode your home. But everybody had to invent a new pedagogy. And so this mixing of synchronous and asynchronous learning, including these labs, to develop new exploration skills, because we are not together in order to do something, to develop new modeling skills. It's not modeling with our fingers and these bars, even for the frame on the spot, but people had to have it at home, or to model using a computer software to enhance creativity, because we are in a new environment and a new situation. So that what we did before this awful virus flood is almost obsolete. And even to collaborate between pairs of students, what we call chavruta here, or small groups as a class. And we heard something about the breakout classes. And the teacher need to develop new skills, teaching skills, to be aware of the students' understanding. Because, you know, when I am in a normal class, it was in the old world, the prehistoric world, I was able to understand when speaking to one student in one part of the class, I was able to understand what happens in the other part of the class. But now, what can I see on my screen? I say no, but actually we came back to class, and some of my students are in class for some classes in first year, second year, but some of my students in the second degree, they are at home, and we are teaching via Zoom, because this is the decision of the Council of the Higher Education. So actually, the entire world had to face the same endeavors, and everyone had to answer and to find his local answer according to what you can see here. The adaptations had to be according to the governmental decisions and to the institutional culture and to the students' cultural background. We have students who before the COVID pandemic had no computer at home, or if they had a computer, it was not connected to internet because of social, because of religious reason they didn't want. And so they had to make this switch. The students, if they are parents, taught their children not to be in front of a screen all day long. And suddenly these children saw their parents in front of a screen all day long. And of course, all this was dependent on the students' socioeconomic situation. When you have parents and children at home, how many computers can you have? And it's not a trivial answer. And the situation is changing. It's changing every a few weeks, every a few days, because with all this pandemic and people who have been infected, so a lot of countries have decided for a green pass. So who is allowed to enter the campus? Only people who recovered and people who have a green pass because they have been fully vaccinated or somebody else. And what do? You have some students on the campus and you have some students at home. So at first we had an hybrid teaching with simultaneous frontal and online. And so the institution installed the material, the hardware needed for that. But now, for example, the rector at our institution said you have to record the lectures, but you don't broadcast in real time. So you have green pass students in classroom and people who cannot come. So for them, you record it and you post the recording on some place. So everything has to be addressed and decisions have to be made, but even within the institutional culture, the single teacher can make his own or her own decisions. This has to be discussed, and it's important to have this collaboration and this communication between the teachers themselves, and to not to mention that some of the teachers, despite their real desire to come and to meet their students, because of specific health sensitivity, they cannot. So everything has to be, how to say, to be decided and to be fine-tuned on a very, very local level. Exactly what we are teaching actually in infinitesimal calculus. We have to be aware and to be ready to have some kind of infinitesimal analysis of the situation in order to give an integral of all what we are doing now. And in mathematics education, especially, we have to deal with all that. It's with this synchronous versus asynchronous, this distant collaboration, how to do mathematics with our fingers. What we did with this, for example, this 4D frame stuff, if students don't have that at home, they cannot. So we need them to have them on the spot. But by all these ways, we could try to enhance creativity by using technology at various levels and developing more mathematical understanding. Given that, I confess that I saw groups of students that were able to communicate and to collaborate, even if everyone was at his own home and not allowed to go because we were confined. No, we are not, we are totally free, but not to enter the campus if we don't have a green pass. So we could apply all this to a lot of different situations for the mathematics and the applications, using online video, animated GIFs, applets that we can define, or students can define them, and a lot of different software can be used in order to go ahead with all that. And therefore, we had to choose because the technologies are different, whether you are in frontal classroom or mixed audience, some of them in the class and some of them at home, or if you are totally on distance learning. Therefore, all of that, at least the teacher must have more than one computer, but maybe the students also. And that's what you can see here, that at least for one session, you can see here 4 devices. Sometime I had more than that. And so we have to decide, we have to discuss that, we have to improve our observation of all these situations in order to invent this new pedagogy. We have now a background after 1.5 years. We proceeded further. Something has happened, but we are not at the end of the process. First, even if the pandemic stops now, we have not arrived to a really total answer to all the questions that we had. But actually, we don't know what will happen in the next month, in the next year. And so we have to be ready to and to be enthusiastic to do that in a further in the further frame. And so these classical 4 C's of 21st century learning, this critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication, have to be improved, to be implemented more and more. I told you that collaboration and communication could be done even when we were confined, and for a fortiori now that we are not. And so the different kind of collaborations can happen. But actually, the entire world is now on the same boat. And so we can, this is what we are doing now with this wonderful conference. We are exchanging our experiences, showing to our colleagues what we are doing and learning from our colleagues what we are doing. And this has to be continued. This is one of the good byproducts of the pandemic. If there are good byproducts, but this worldwide collaboration that we began to have is very, very important. And so we could try to answer the new pedagogic endeavors that we had, and they were different in every COVID-19 wave, because at the beginning, all the countries knew only to confine the population. And then we went to mixed solutions, to be partly confined, but not totally, to have a curfew, but not confined 24 hours a day. And everything had to be, at every step, reinvented. Everything had to be rebuilt, and the thinking and this collaboration and this communication was very, very important. So we have only to remember that if you are enthusiastic, and all these very nice things have been built and proposed to us generally by enthusiastic volunteers, but if we are stuck with our professional skills as they were 2 years ago, this is prehistory, it will be very, very hard to continue. But now we have all the frame, and we have all the desire to go further and to invent this new pedagogy. And I hope that we will be able to do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. How can I call you, Noah or Thierry?
As you like. Both are my names. Noah is in Hebrew, is the guy with the boat, you know, on the flood. Yeah. And so with all the animals, I'm feeling very, very well with that. And right. So you can, and Thierry is my French name.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for your presentation. Well, all of us, including me, we have been fighting against the COVID-19 pandemics for almost 2 years. But I'm definitely, I'm sure we're gonna win against the COVID-19 pandemics.
Yes, we will. Right. We shall overcome.
Yep. Okay, and we have a last presenter, Dwi Supriyanto from Indonesia. Dwi, are you ready? Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. He's gonna talk about STEAM learning for the frame media in increasing motivation and creative thinking in mathematics lesson for 8th grade junior high school. Right. Okay. Are you ready? You have the floor, Dwi.
Okay.
Yeah, Dwi,
like I am
up to 10 minutes. You
yes.
have a 10-minute presentation. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good night. I am Dwi Supriyanto, teacher from Junior High School to Blitar, East Java, Indonesia. I am presentase STEAMing learning using for to frame media increasing motivation and creative thinking in mathematics lesson for the grade junior high school to prepare. Background, this time this progress is growing rapidly this college next year. Learning has not been able increasing motivation and critical thinking, so the development student creative thinking become less essential. Several lessons from important character education, namely creative thinking that's so clear and urgent. Permendikbud considering learning primary and secondary school that learning must interactive, fun, collecting, motivation, and articulate participant providing sufficient space for initiation, student creativity, and independent. Problem formulation. How increasing motivation junior high school student after applying basic competency STEAM approach build flat side space. 2. How is thinking creativity junior high school student after applying basic competency STEAM approach build flat side space. Research purpose. DC increase in motivation junior high school student after important STEAM basic competence build flat side space. 2. To find out creative thinking of junior high school student after applying STEAM to basic competition constructing flat side space. Development method, STEAM learning, mathematics build flat slide space, art, motivation, and creative thinking, engineering design process. For the frame toolkit, how increase motivation during the school student after applying competition STEM approach by flat side space. How thinking creativity junior high school student after applying basic competition STEM approach by flat side space. Research methodology. The research were carried out high grade student SMA Negeri 2 Blitar City as semester ganjil to methodologies research use observation assessment of product result during learning while learning is carried out online and offline mode. This during learning practice in class, teacher accompanying student, the student make project, student 2, student 3, student make shape according their design, this one, this 2, this 3. Then present their results. This project 1, the student 2, student 3, the student 4, 5. Their product, they make car, they make on, they make crown, mahkota, they make brides. Research result for the level student motivation with score, maximum score, and mean that percentage student motivation is 90% and can be category is good category. From the recent project, student award for the mathematical creative thinking instrument, student score of the maximum score, the mean percentage 89, the N can be category is good. Conclusion, by using for the free media, it can increasing student motivation learning, mathematics and material building space. 2. By using for the free media, it can increasing student creative thinking in learning mathematics building material. This product student Thank you.
Right. Dewey, thank you very much for your presentation. You also showed the success of 4D frame activities on especially mathematics lesson for high school level. Yep. Thank you very much. And yeah, we have I think let me check. I asked to local committee member what time is the right, how many minutes do we have to have Q&A? I ask local committee member. Yeah, they say that we and now it's 8:07. So we can have a 5-minute Q&A session. So any questions or comments from the floor to ask anything about the presentation? Any questions from the floor? Can I ask as a moderator, this is my duty. Right. As you can see, as I summarize, two categories can be summarized from 6 presenters. The first one is a 4D frame, and the other one is, well, the other creativity topics. And my question is one for 4D frame, and another question for the rest of presenters. Especially, for example, I want to ask the Noah. Well, and also my question is also relevant to all of our 6 presenters. I think, well, as you're aware, we are facing with many difficulties of online learning education on the mathematics education settings and also the other school subject. So first, I want to ask Noah. So, well, about your presentation. Well, you emphasize on the online learning possibilities on the mathematics education settings. So my question is how to measure student success and evaluate their achievement, because well, as you believe, we have a new online technologies and state-of-the-art method to deliver mathematics knowledge effectively, and also it's easier to get decent learning, which is free to geographical and temporal restriction. So how do you think about the new opportunity to design and implement the teaching and learning success and the achievement using online technologies on teaching and learning settings, especially in school level?
Well, I'm happy that you asked this question. There are different levels to answer. One of them is that even online, we can mimic something that we were doing in the traditional way. So, for example, you mentioned 4D frame, and I could use objects that I built with 4D frame and show them to my students via the camera. At least I could do something like that. Everything was too quick for me, for the institution to be organized to have a set for every student. But now, in order to analyze the improvement among the students, first, slowly, I began to develop my ability to see in the eyes of my students, even on the screen, and in their personal behavior, whether they are with me or not. And so I could understand, I could know whether they understand what I say, whether they are in real time with me, not with the entire class on at the same time, but for some of the students we could. And even the personal collaboration which was possible in the traditional setting could begin by that way. But for this, the students must have a very, very strong desire to do that. As they could not come to me and to speak face to face, even in the class, but after the lecture, or to come to my office, they had to do it online. Some of them did it, some of them didn't want to do it. For example, they could use the chat during the lecture. And almost all of them forgot that I could see the chat also. And so they were exchanging ideas and reflections that they supposed that I didn't know, but I could see that. And so I could understand exactly what happens with them. It could be a very nice reflection like, oh, now I understood. He explained that well. Sorry? Sorry, somebody else? Oh, sorry. But even when the student said, oh, that's silly, I would like to watch the video of another teacher. So I could see even that. But this gave me the general impression in real time of what happens with the students. Most of them were focused on what they had to learn, and they were focused on their way to communicate with me, and it was okay. I suppose that this single student who had a negative post on the chat would have it even in a regular classroom, or maybe would not have come to the class, because as it's in a university, they are not obliged to show up in the class. And as far as exams are concerned, the institution looked for solutions for the exams. I didn't use the general, no, for one group, which was a large group of, I don't remember, 40 or 60 students, I used the general setting of the institution. Every student being at home with two cameras, one on him and one on the keyboard. I don't remember exactly what. It was not my issue. But for the other groups who were smaller groups, I had last year groups of 20, 25 students. I gave them not an exam, but a final work. But I built my teaching in such a way that I could give them a work. And I wanted them to make this work by pairs, collaboration, yes. And I wanted them to do that in pairs. But the question there that they had, the problem that they had to solve were not problems that I described in the course, but it was using the skills and the methods that I taught to face new problems. So this is part of the new pedagogy. Even not only the teaching, but even the exams have to be different.
Thank you for your quite details and quite accurate.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. And we have two questioners, August and Deborah. August.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, August. Yeah, any question to whom?
Oh, yeah. It is not a question, but maybe a hope for Mr. Hogul Park.
Okay,
Maybe
yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Park is still here.
Park Hogul, are you there? Oh,
Yeah.
any assistant?
He's here.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Mr. Park is there. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hogul Park, my students is very enthusiastic or very pleased with for the film. My question is it impossible if we have like maybe you give us maybe cheaper price for our school, for our works together. I get a cheaper price for your tool because it is very great for me. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gupar.
Yeah, Park Hogul, you have floor. Yeah, you get a chance to answer. 예, 좀 가격을 싸게 해서 예, 왠지. 그러니까 그 질문 내용이 그 가격을 좀 다운할 수 있는 거기 방안에 대해서 말씀해 주시면 될 것 같아요.
지금 많이 쓰게 되면은 되게 가능할 것 같아요. 근데 지금은 그렇게 많이 쓰여지질 않다 보니까 지금 이런 문제가 있는 거거든요, 지금. 그래서 만약에 인도네시아에서 많이 쓴다면은 가격이 많이 좀 내려갈 것 같은 생각이 드네요.
I think the price may go down when this 40 frame material became in use in broader place around the world. But for now, I think we still have a little bit of limit during our produce quantity. But it may go lower. The price may go lower if countries like Indonesia can utilize 40 frame more and more.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much for your question. And Debo, do we have Debo? Do you have any question to whom?
Yes, my question is for Miss Pinto, sir. I have read it in the chat.
Okay, I'm here. So be learning teachers and what is the conditions. It is effective in the sense that when they come and join us face to face in the practical classes, you can reply to them directly during the class. During the online lectures, so I usually try to stop my lecture once in a while to ask them questions, to ask the students if they are understanding what I'm saying, and if they want to, for instance, give the solution for some problem that I post there. And but anyway, even if I do this very interactive online, they usually like more to be with their colleagues and to be with me in class. And that's how Noah said, that's what Noah said. When we are in class, if one student is talking to us, we can easily look around and see what's happening with everyone else. If all the other students have the same questions or are comprehending better that topic than the others. When you are online, if one student asks one question, you don't really realize if all the class is having that particular question or if it's only that student. You know, so I believe the most effective way of teaching is face-to-face, period. And students enjoyed it clearly. But of course, we can do the best that we can to make the online classes more interactive with using quizzes and games and stopping the class once in a while in order to see if the students are still awake and to engage them more in the class. So that's what I have to say. I don't know if I replied to your question, Debo.
Thank you, Miss. Maybe we have the same feels, yeah, because I have tried to make be blended too, but the better way is face-to-face class too. So maybe when I have online learning with my student, it's so difficult to get them to be social presence. Yeah, their social presence is so is more little than if we have face-to-face learning in classroom. It means that learning of face-to-face is better than online learning until now. I feel that's it, Miss. Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Mi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for everybody. And does anybody wanted to ask question to presenters? even though we have
No, if just if
time?
you allow me, I want just to
Yeah,
to
sure.
send
Yeah.
an online gift to Hogul because we owe him a lot of things with all this 4D frame. So this is an online gift.
Wow.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Oh yeah, we have a superstar, Park Ho-geul. Thank you very much for your participation and
Thank
your
you.
activities. And anyway, I just leave my message to share our email address to communicate each other later until the next year or later. So if you want, you can leave your email address and then we can send the email just to say hello, or I have this question, blah blah, and please let us know, something like that. And leave your email address, and I leave my email address is and that is easier, gmail.com. Yep. Right. Okay. Everyone, thank you so much to participate this international conference and also especially this session. Many interesting topics and issues has been raised by the presenter, and personally I'm very happy to share your knowledge and experiences and your perspectives on a variety of teaching and learning materials, contents, and or pedagogical approaches on various topics, especially for the frame as a teaching and learning materials from the teacher's side or student side. As my perspective will be driven new ideas and approaches for the next materials for teaching and learning settings. And also Pintos or Noah's and the other presenters give quite effective ideas on your teaching and learning side. Okay, anyway, finally, as a moderator, I really appreciate for your presentation and also participation from the floor. And I hope we will see again in next year on the international seminar on the convergence education. So until then, best wishes and we're gonna win against the COVID-19 pandemics. Okay, God bless you, and thank you very much for joining us, and see you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 수고 많으셨습니다.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Presentation.
Konten apa sih?
박사님 수고 많으셨어요. 잠도 못 자 주무시고.
아, 네.
몇 시에 미국에?
여기요? 아침 됐어요. 지금 6시
아이고.
반 됐어요. 6시 반.
미국
3시부터 일어나서.
4시부터 일어나는 거예요? 아유, 고생하셨네.
네.
예.
오늘 소장님 오늘 영어로 프레젠테이션 처음 하셨어요?
처음이에요, 처음.
시작이
할-
반입니다. 시작이 반.
아이고, 얼마나
네.
부담이 되는지.
아니,
아.